I want to give a huge thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Therapy isn't something to run away from, it's a vessel to run towards. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service and it's 100% online, so break out your comfies. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 30,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time. Anytime. And schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. No more fumbling to get a session on the calendar. You schedule based on when the time is right for you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. Therapy changed my life for the better. Pun intended. And with BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and a more affordable price. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Rocky. That's betterhelp.com/Rocky. I think it's safe to say we're living through a pretty historic moment. Our specialty as Americans. Anyone who may be listening from another country, perhaps, this is our specialty. Historic events. First, the WGA goes on strike, then rightfully so, SAG-AFTRA joins them. I'm going to make the assumption that most people have heard that yuck, ugh, blech, ugh quote that was printed in Deadline, but if not, I'll read it to you. The end game is to allow things to drag on until union members start losing their apartments and losing their houses. Apparently, a studio executive said that. And then an insider said, a cruel but necessary evil. I'm not denying that a studio executive and an insider said those things. That sounds pretty on par with some of the terrible things we've been hearing from the top. Bob Iger was quoted outright, and what he said was, equally disgusting. But at least with him, we can put a face to a quote. Sure, those horrible things were probably said. We're not surprised based on how long the strike's been going on at this point, right? But I do want you to stop and critically think for a second. When did we as a society stop accepting actual names of people when it comes to quoting them? Not quoting someone by name is sloppy. It teeters on gossip columny. It's secondhand and it breeds fallacy. We want names. Why are we believing that unnamed person said thing about subject? It is without question that these guys at the top are being greedy. It's undeniable and horrible for their karma, by the way. Oh my God. You couldn't pay me to trade karmas with them. But that can all be true while recognizing that quotes backed by nothing, no credibility, without a name, just a rumor of who said it, that's dangerous. So all I'm asking is that you think about it while you're reading clickbait quotes. That's all. These guys at the top are declaring a class war. That, in a nutshell, is what is happening. And lucky for us, the unions are prepared to fight back. This is all happening because capitalistic greed is coming to the head and meeting the reality of robots taking everyone's jobs and it being very lucrative for those at the top. Do not let your need for escapism on your couch blind you and put you in a trance to what's going on. Wake up. And I want you in your own life to conduct little strikes all the time. Be your own union. And also, be kind to the people you're sharing space with. And maybe it sounds hippy-dippy when I say that all the time, but you are not in such a rush that you can't let a car get in front of you. You are not in such a rush that you can't hold the door for someone. You are not in such a rush that you need to be looking down at your phone while you're crossing the street. If the people at the top are declaring a class war with all the writers and actors in Hollywood, then guess what? They will declare a class war with you. So look around and be cool and be kind to the people you're in the trenches with. These big wigs are very comfortable saying the quiet part out loud because this country is built on money and greed. And if they have the money, they have the power. Be very careful letting a clickbait quote rile you up. And you must never forget that the power is in the people.
Duh.
Welcome to the Rocky Rundown, where you get to learn a little bit about my week. Party God Squad, hello. Did you have a good week? I sure hope so. I hope if you're picketing, you're staying strong and hydrated, and if you're not, I hope you're vibing. I know it's hard to vibe in the world today, but my sweet angels, this is your life. You must try. I decided I needed to vibe this week, so I did. I did an evening beach trip with a couple of friends on Tuesday, and it was so calming, and it was so grounding to just be by the water, man. Relaxing. The only thing is if you go to the beach after 6 p.m., it's what they call a swim at your own risk. Or at least that's what it's supposed to be. But there was some guy on a quad who wouldn't let anyone in the water. I don't know if this guy knows what at your own risk means. But isn't it crazy that you aren't allowed to go into the ocean at your own risk? But you go outside every day at your own risk. There's mass shootings all the time. If only there was a man on a quad with a whistle who could stop them. Listen, y'all, I am a beach gal. I'm an island gal, just trying to make it. I'm an island gal. And for years, I'm Little Mermaiding under the sea at the Rockaways. But lately, the sharks, the whales, the submarines. Balloon. You see that, girl? So funny. She's making so much money. All those things are up in the water. And I'm not trying to colonize the waves at this point in time, bruh. I am cool on land. This is how I look at the ocean now. You know when you're partying with your friends in high school, maybe you're drinking, you're hooking up, or maybe you weren't about the antics, so you're at a friend's house having soda and playing video games, whatever. Whatever your high school fun was, Cheeto dust all up under your fingers, and your friends tell you, we got the place to ourselves, my parents, they're not coming home all night, and then boom, their parents come home, but it's still too early in the hangout for you to go home, so you stay, but you don't feel as comfortable as you did when you thought the parents weren't going to be there. That's what going into the ocean feels like to me now. It's not as comfortable. I'll get in, but are your folks about to chit-chat with me? Because I'm 16 and neither one of us want to be having this conversation. Plus, I don't care what Cheryl at the office did. Ugh, I guess I'd rather talk to the parent. But you get the analogy? That's what going into the ocean feels like to me now. Not as comfortable. I'll get in, but ugh. I wasn't expecting all the small talk. The beach just hasn't been the same for me since the wildlife started jumping out and showing their faces. I know they were always there, but to see them is different. Whales and sharks, the parental guardians of the oceans. I'm out. When I'm not out taking in every ray that the summer has to offer me, I'll tell you what I am doing. I'm swiping because I am trying to get my dick wet. Metaphorically, of course. And I'll tell you, my age range on the apps is 31 to 43. I think that's what works for me. My age range in the streets is different. I'm friends with a lot of younger men. Some even 10 years my junior, and their little friends come around sniffing, making jokes. Young sir, you better be careful before I Stifler's mom that ass. Don't play with me. And if you don't know the reference, then I'm 100% talking to you. Pulling a young guy in his 20s in the streets is thrilling. It's exciting. The stamina is unmatched. But when I'm swiping, I'm looking for something different. So I match with this guy, 35. His name's Leo. And I know people hate Leonardo DiCaprio because he breaks up with women when they turn 25, but it's my feminist right to believe it's a coincidence. We could find a reason to dislike every guy, right? What? Your man's perfect? Leo Dio has provided me with hours of spank bank material, particularly from The Wolf of Wall Street. And also, while those ex-girlfriends of his are eating caviar in the south of France, we are fighting for healthcare that's not a scam. Die on another hill, people. The planet is hot. Anyway, this guy's name was Leo, and the conversation was flowing, so he asked me out, and I say, yeah, Leo. And I give him my avails, and I go back to his profile, and I see that his bio says, biologically, I'm 25. Mentally, I'm 35. No, sir. Mentally, you ill. That's not fair. I should have read his profile harder, scanned it for clues of deception. When I addressed it, he made it seem like I was out of pocket for even mentioning it. Boy, I will put you in timeout so fast, you will not flip this around on me. I was getting gaslit by men while you were in 6th grade reading Where the Red Fern Grows, okay? Shut up. You snuck into my preferences. The deception, it didn't sit well with me, so I unmatched. Well, I almost unmatched. I did it in the classiest way possible. I was honest, I was encouraging. I even waited for his response. He had no rebuttal, and he unmatched me first, after my kind and thoughtful message. Why? Because he's not mentally 35. I have to give 2 shout-outs because last week was my dear Kaylee girl's birthday, and I just love to celebrate that little lady as much as humanly possible. So happy birthday, Kaylee, and many, many more. The other is to my cousin, who semi-recently was so much fun at this huge dance party that they went to that the committee of the party approached them and said essentially, hey, you're a blast and you're killing it at this party. You're doing it right. Do you want to be on our party planning committee? My own flesh and blood, representing the party god squad so hard in the wild that the leaders of the party said, that one. Whew, I feel a little emotional. To hear that was one of the proudest moments of my life. You're incredible, Liv. That brings us to Rocky's highest thoughts, my most stoned thoughts of the week. Number 1, an air conditioner that makes the room comfortable, but year-round. I think what I'm thinking of is central air, but I don't know. Invent it. Number 2, I think the phrase cross the line comes from people crossing the picket lines during a strike. Bro, don't be a scab. That's crossing the line. Number 3, can I just eat some pistachios in goddamn peace without getting an ad for them on my goddamn phone as I'm eating the pistachios? Fuck. Number 4, what if AI is really aliens and they've been here all along? We may never meet what we think E.T. is. We could get taken over by them. They could have been infiltrating this process to make AI come to the surface the whole time. My guest this week is comedian Esther Chen. Esther is a stand-up, she's an actress, and frankly, she's an open book. I loved chatting with Esther. Her wild word was safe, and my safe word is wild. So let's ride. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can follow me at Wild Nights with Rocky on TikTok and Instagram, at Wild Nights Pod on Twitter. If you want to watch extended interviews with all of my guests, please subscribe on YouTube. If you want to support the show with your wallet, you can subscribe to my Patreon for $2 or $5 a month. A big thank you and a future thank you to everyone who's written and everyone who will write a review when this episode is over. It really does make a difference. And now, please enjoy my Wild Nights conversation with Esther Chen. Esther, welcome. Thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Happy to be here. As I said, everything hurts.
Yes, we were talking. Well, being in your 30s, you were saying when you're 30 you hurt. When you're 35, you hurt too. I worked out 3 days in a row, and I'm like, aren't I supposed to feel great after I work out? And I'm just
No,
like,
you feel like shit.
I'm struggling to get upstairs. I'm like trying to stretch my back. I said to my brother's girlfriend, we did Orange Theory, and she's in her mid 20s. And I said to her, I'm so grateful that I worked out throughout my entire 20s, because jumping back into working out in your mid 30s, your body, it feels different. And I can't imagine if I didn't work out throughout my 20s, if how I could jump back into a workout.
Well, maybe you had better cartilage that wasn't grinded out in your 20s. I don't
What?
know.
No, it feel like I just mean, like, when I used to jump back into workouts, if I would do like 3 months of working out and then 4 months off, which is classic me. I When I was in my 20s, it would be like, oh, okay, cool, it's like nothing changed. And now it's like if I jump back into a workout, my body just feels a little different.
Yeah, when I jump back in, my body dies. I
It's
slept 12 hours last night. That's
oh
how,
shit.
yeah, from one workout session, it took out 12 hours of sleep from me.
Do you like to do cardio, or do you do lifting?
No, I hate cardio. I
Yeah.
mean, I hate cardio, but like I also just hate working out in general.
Oh
So
yeah.
I think the only reason I like kickboxing is because you get to kick your friends. Otherwise, I just wouldn't want to do it at all.
So your preference is to beat up your friends.
I don't know, just someone you know.
Just give them a,
Yeah,
you'd be like,
just
if
doing it
they,
against a machine. There's no emotions attached.
yes, yes, yes. I feel like if you had someone that you were mad at, you could be like, hey, let's go to this kickboxing class
That is what I
together.
do every week. And it's funny because they know what I'm mad about, so they get it.
They're like,
Yeah.
okay, so
There's that
if you,
extra level is like, oh shit, she really hates this person. I'm like, yeah,
Esther,
no shit, I told you.
yeah, yeah. Esther took us to kickboxing, so we're probably not safe. Yes,
Yes.
safe. So Esther's wild word was safe. So Esther, take us into your wild night story. Safe.
I want to say I was 25,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 20, maybe younger than that. And I at the time I'd been studying with this Russian teacher, and she's part of like the original group of La Mama. I know no one on this podcast is gonna know what the fuck that is. But not before La Mama. Sorry, what's that? Oh, the Worcester group. I think it's the Worcester group. She's one of the
Okay.
original members of the Worcester group, which I think at the time was when it wasn't the Worcester group, it's like they're like the same hang of people with like Philip Glass, like anyone like experimental in the Lower East Side at the time. It was him. It was Lee. God, what is his name? Ruth Lee. I can't remember their last name. They're like the biggest people in the world.
They're a
But now
band.
that they're not yet, no,
Not
they're
yet.
here. My
Okay.
teacher was banned from Russia, so that's why
Gotcha.
she was here. I want to say she escaped to Europe, and then from Europe met these people and came here. I don't know. Anyway, I'm probably saying her history wrong. I'm saying good thing I didn't mention her name. But anyway, her son invited me to go to a bathhouse. And
Okay.
I don't know if you guys know, I'm foreign here. So a bath, so in Asia, I mean, the closest thing we have to a bathhouse is like a hot spring, you know? But then the thing with hot springs is like usually men and women are separated.
Okay.
Even like you sometimes you are allowed to wear, or you are allowed to go nude, or you can do both. You wear a bathing suit, but even then still men and women are separated.
Okay.
And then he's bringing me to this bathhouse, and he was like, no, it's really great, it like really releases your toxins and whatever. Anyways, I was curious. I was like, okay, yeah, why not? And then he was like, oh, they have a really great sale on Groupon. So I bought the sale. And then right before we were gonna go, he canceled for some reason. You guys have to remember this is like more than a decade ago. So my memory is getting a little faulty. Anyway,
Yeah.
for some reason he cannot be there. Either like he left, he had to go to Portugal, or like he had some really strange disease where like he was really sick. I don't know what. And I was like, okay, fine, he can't go. But
He
the
had to
problem
go.
is like
Yeah.
the Groupon was going to expire, and I wasn't gonna just let it go to waste because
Uh-huh.
I was in my early 20s and I didn't have a lot of money. I was like, no, I bought this shit. I'm going to go. So it was this like bathhouse on First Avenue and like what between Fourth and Sixth, one of those streets.
Okay.
And it kind of looks like this like white walled jail.
Mm.
And anyway, I went by myself. I was really scared. I didn't really know what to do. So I walk in. I can't remember much, but I felt like I walked into the Russian mafia bathhouse.
Oh, now when you say that, did you feel unwelcome or did you just feel like the
I was
vibes
very
changed?
fish out of water. There were people were looking at me up and down. It was really obvious I didn't know what I was doing. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything was very new and I was there by myself and there weren't women when I walked in. I'm just
Oh,
like,
shit.
fuck, this is not good. It didn't look the cleanest either. I mean, shit, if they're still open, I don't mean to say bad things about them, but
That's
I was
okay.
just
You're
like,
gonna have the Russian mob coming after my show.
I was like, I'm sorry. It's very clean. I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's still open post pandemic because I can't imagine them doing well during the pandemic
Right.
like you're everyone's like literally breathing steam in and out of their lungs. So I don't
Yes.
know. I mean, maybe they're still there. I don't know how they survived or if they did or not. Anyway, so I walk in and I change into my bathing suit. I walk in the room and and again, I don't remember much because this is like more than 15 years ago. And I just remember there were these different cement pools of stuff. It's not well lit. It feels like the public pool trying to be a sauna. And it's this really weird combination of public pools with dim lighting, and you're not sure if shit's the cleanest.
I want to ask you this. So you
Yeah.
go in, you're already feeling a little, you're younger, you're feeling a little like, oh, I'm by myself. It's mostly men here. There was no part of you, and I respect it because I love a little adventure, but there was no part of you that was like, I got to get the fuck out of here. Or you wanted to.
No, there was the bigger part was like, I'm not going to let this money go to waste.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's the
That
bigger
makes
part. The
sense to
bigger
me.
part, yeah. The bigger part is like, I bought it. I'm going to use it, which is like, even now when my friends waste food, I'm very upset about it. I'm like, you bought it, you're gonna eat it. If you're not gonna eat it
Oh
now,
my
you're gonna take it
God.
home and fucking eat it later.
That is, I'm so happy you said that because that's how I get sometimes. And I have to just be like, it's either going to like be just make me feel heavy or I'm just going to toss it or save it for later. But I get like that with like pizza and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to finish this last bite, but I feel like I'm putting it to waste. So I get it on a bathhouse scale. Continue.
Yeah. I mean, this morning I threw away my first like vermicelli noodles that has
Oh,
nothing on it. So my boyfriend ate all the protein and left a bunch of noodles. And I was really mad at him. But
of
because the
course.
fridge is so full, I had to throw it away because it won't close. So I
Gotcha.
literally tossed in the trash right before doing this. And I was like, wow, that's a first step. That's a first
Wow.
step for me. And that's a big step.
That's
That's a big
huge.
step. So I walk in and really all I remember is because I was very intimidated the whole time. I didn't really know where to go, what to do. I'm trying to observe what other people are doing. And there was one blonde chick, and I was like, okay, well, she's fine. She's there. And everyone really knows what they're doing. It's kind of like when you're not a Muslim and you walk into like a Muslim mosque and like everyone's doing their thing and it feels like you're interrupting them a little bit. That's kind of
Gotcha.
what it felt like.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
like in the very like so I was a little bit scared to like go into the pool of stuff because like there's people talking and there it's quite full and it's really hard to walk in and out and I wasn't sure how much I could push my body into it into other people's spaces. But anyway, there was this room in the back. It's just like it feels like these like cement steps. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And there were people just sitting around and lounging around. I was like, you know what, this is low key. I can do this. So I'm just
Hmm.
gonna sit around there. I'm not gonna gotta push people out or moving making too big of a gesture to stick out. So I'm just sitting there, and I noticed everyone there was getting slapped by these two men.
What?
They were holding this like bush of things. It's kind of like the end of a broomstick,
Okay, yeah, I can
but
picture what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so like at home we have these like twig broomsticks that they literally sell. It's literally like dried twigs
Mm-hmm.
and then they're thinner at the ends and they tie it into like a metal thing which is around the wooden long stick.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like a broom. That's like an outdoor broom. You use that to like sweep dried leaves and trash on the street. Like that's
Yeah.
not a house broom. That's an outside broom. So it's kind of like the end of an outside broom, but the stuff isn't twigs. It's like leaves, and I don't know. I mean, I couldn't really tell. It's also quite dim and dark.
But it looks similar.
No, it looks more, well, it's smaller, that to begin with. It's
Hmm.
smaller because you can hold it in a hand. Most of the time the broomstick is like much bigger. So they're holding this, and then people are just like bending over and getting slapped. And initially it was like all the men, and then that blonde woman I was telling
Yeah.
you about, she started getting this. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, no, it's okay. I don't know. At first I was like, oh, they're friends slapping each other, whatever. And then like by the fifth person, I'm like, okay, so they're doing this for, maybe they have a lot of friends, maybe they all know each other.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then the blonde lady go get slapped, and I'm like, oh, okay, no, it's like I think they're doing a service. I think they're doing this like freebie service for people. I don't think they know these people. I'm starting to notice like they're just like slapping them like as a nice thing to do. Like, here, you're
Right.
welcome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're doing you a
So
favor.
yeah, so then they catch me looking at them, and finally they're like, do you want to get slapped? And I'm just like a little shocked. I didn't really know what to do. And then
Hmm.
I think a couple minutes later, the other one asked me again, and I was like, well, yeah, if this comes with a package, I should do it. I'm not gonna waste out on like the Groupon I paid for. So
Yeah.
then I thought they worked there. I thought they were like, if you've ever been to a Turkish bathhouse, then you know, like the first time I went to, there were all these like older ladies, and they were all like topless, and they had this like thong, like rope like thong for their under parts.
Uh-huh.
And this was me in Turkey. This was me in Istanbul. We went to a bathhouse, and they literally come over to scrub you. They come over, they grab you by the hair, which is usually like a bun or a ponytail. They grab you
Yeah.
by the hair and they scrub you like a little baby.
Oh my God.
They just like take this like scrunchy thing, and they take you off all your dead skin. Like all your dead skin is
So
gone
you're
by the end of
very
this.
smooth.
Yeah, but they scrub you really hard, and they're very no nonsense, and they're kind of like brassy and kind of like
Hmm.
no bullshit. So I was like, oh, that's just bathhouse. Like they all have that person
Yeah.
who goes around and does shit, I guess. Like, I guess that they all have staff in the
Yeah.
bathhouse doing the jobs. So then I let them slap me, and then they slap my back, and they're like, do you want to slap your shoulders too? Do you want to slap your butt too? And I was like, sure. If that's part of the package,
Yeah,
slap
yeah.
away. So then they slap me all around. They give me like an extra slap and whatnot. And like I say, thank you. And then I think it's like close to closing time. I was there for
Right.
that long, I think,
Oh
because I'm just
shit.
like, I want to make sure I'm doing things right. So I'm like kind of mousy about it. Like I'll only go into certain areas where no one's there, but then like I'm
Hmm.
not sure what I'm supposed to do if no one's there for me to observe what they're doing.
Right,
So
right.
anyway, it's closing time. I leave. I try to leave really quickly. And then I catch the guys at the lockers. So there's no like separation of men and women. It's just like you go to the front desk, and right next to the front desk is all the lockers, and it literally looks like a public locker. It looks like a locker that would live in Port Authority if the floors were all wet. That's how grimy that is,
Yeah.
it's just grimy. It's like it's Port Authority or it's Penn Station, like the old one.
Yeah, it's
And
disgusting.
just imagine then you have like these like really jail looking like lockers.
Yeah,
So
so
I'm
it's
there, I'm
so
collect
appealing.
I mean, totally worth a Groupon.
Yeah.
So then I go and grab my shit. I'm about to head out, and then one of the guys starts talking to me. And I don't remember what he was talking to me about, but I was so insecure. And I'm like, yeah, anyone who talks to me, I'm like very attentive and I'm
Yeah.
very like responsive. And then eventually they're like, do you want to come to our car and like smoke weed or something, I guess?
You're like, is that in the Groupon?
Yeah. And then at that point, like he was so nice to me. I didn't think much. And then that's when I realized like they put on their clothes, like they're Hasidic Jews.
Okay.
They're Hasidic Jews. And it's shocking. I mean, at the time, I didn't realize that Hasidic Jews are not allowed to talk to women outside of their community.
Correct.
And uh, and I know there are certain rules, but I didn't realize that talking with women outside of the community was the number one faux pas. And I didn't realize. I mean, I had a hunch that they weren't supposed to do pot, but I was like, well, what do I know about being Hasidic Jew? I mean, it was like fourth year in America and
Yeah, yeah.
probably like my second encounter with a Hasidic Jewish person. Like
Right.
I wasn't I mean, I don't have a close friend who's Orthodox Jew to tell me of these rules.
Yeah,
And
of course. You're just
you
it's
know,
like this is your
yeah,
worldly experience. You're having it right
right.
now.
I'm just learning it for the I mean, I didn't even know at the time of all the rules that are involved. I mean, this is like of course the internet was around, but there were so many things about America that I didn't know
And
that
you
this
weren't
wasn't
spending it Googling what are the rules of Hasidic
right.
Judaism. Yeah.
I wasn't be like, what do I do the next time I run into a Jewish person?
Correct.
Like I
Yes.
wasn't that wasn't I it was more like fuck, I'm in Brooklyn, I'm lost, and there wasn't Google Maps at the time. It was like more like that. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm in the car with these two Hasidic Jewish men. Turns out either they were cousins or they were like in-laws, and I can't remember which. I
Gotcha.
think they were cousins. I think they were cousins. And there was a Friday night, and they were like, every Friday night we go out of town and we go crazy. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what they do. He went to the bathhouse and then they smoke, they get super fucking high, and then they go home really late and like that's what they do. So anyway, I'm in a car with them. I'm in their back seat, which again, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. Just in the back of a car of two men that I just met in a fucking bathhouse who was going around slapping people.
Yeah.
I still wasn't sure if they were the staff of the bathhouse just being nice to me. And then they start smoking a joint. I was like, oh no, he wasn't joking. Cause like their English is interesting. It has a bit of an accent and it wasn't like complete. But I didn't know that like their education doesn't teach them English. So I don't really
Yeah.
know much. I'm just like,
Going with the
well, I
flow.
don't know. The people like people in New York with accents, immigrants, whatever the fuck. I don't care. Like I'm
Yeah.
foreign. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. English is hard. Whatever, right? We all struggle. Um, they were very hospitable to me. They offered me the joint, and I had never smoked at that
Oh
point.
my God. So
I'd
many
never,
moments.
I've never smoked marijuana, and there I am in a hot box, and my eyes were getting like super red, and and then one of them started. See, I don't even remember what conversation they had. I was just like, am I really here? Am I really doing this? Like, are you
Did you feel
like,
safe?
no, it was dangerously exciting
Got it.
because I've
Love it.
never done anything bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so good. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is the baddest I've done at
Yeah.
that point in my life. And you've heard my jokes about I'm sorry. Do you know I'm a virgin? No, maybe you don't know.
In real life now or
In
at
real
that point?
life.
No, I
In
didn't
real
know that.
life.
I did
Okay,
not.
so I think, I mean, there's a lot of reasons as to why I'm keeping it that way. Some of it's cultural, but a big part of it's also like, I am so scared that living in America, if I were to catch a disease that I cannot fix by myself, I'm fucked.
Right.
Because I've never, I mean, I'm not saying this is a problem exclusive to America, but it feels like every time I need to see a doctor, I need to go find four more opinions to find one that actually gave me the right diagnosis.
Yeah, and honestly, the older I've gotten, I've realized how bad the medical system is and how
Oh my God,
they're
it's
just
fucking
pushing you.
horrible.
Yeah.
Now imagine I have like an STD.
Yeah.
I don't have the luxury, number one, monetarily, and number two, time, because of my job. Both of these things I don't have.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to live with whatever chlamydia I have for
Yeah.
like a month
Yeah.
without being able to help myself in any way, which where I come from, number one, you don't have to wait. And number two, if you want to see four doctors a day, there's no problem. It's
Yeah.
very quick. It's very fast. There's no like, we don't have an appointment until 2024.
Yeah.
Like, whereas like American doctors, that's very much the case. So number one, I don't have the time. I don't have the money. And like, I don't have family here to like drive me to places. I got to figure this shit out.
Right.
Um, so a big part of that was also like, if I have sex with someone and I get, let's say, herpes
Uh-huh.
or HPV, or let's say like I need to get an abortion because
Mm-hmm.
something happened at that,
Yeah.
I don't have backup. I
Right.
don't have help. And I don't think the average American understands how scary that is. I mean, like imagine like being like a migrant worker
Yeah.
from Mexico into the United States. Would you take the risk to to put yourself in a space where you're going to be prone to something that you cannot resolve?
I would say that that's really commendable because sometimes hormones just take over and you're like, I gotta fuck now. And Americans are very uh especially American men, they love to say condoms don't fit when you can actually put a condom over a fucking watermelon and it fits just
Oh my
fine.
God.
So,
Condom don't wait. I'm sorry. They're saying their dick is too big that a condom don't fit.
yeah, some have.
Wow. That is a lot of confidence.
Can I tell you, a guy once said to me,
Hold on, I just peed in my underpants. I have to wipe it up.
oh my God.
Who the fuck actually thinks their dick is big enough
A
that a
lot of men,
fucking
a lot of men, a lot of men, a lot of men.
Oh, I'm so glad you can't see my under parts, but I'm gonna start wiping my underpants as we're talking.
That's totally fine. I had a guy once
Who the
say, but
fuck says that?
a guy said to me once, Esther, he goes,
Oh my
but
God.
I don't wanna. He literally pouted and said, I don't wanna. And that was the last
Wow.
time I ever saw him.
Uh
Uh,
wow. That is
so you were in the back seat, you're feeling dangerous. You haven't had sex then, you haven't had sex now. So what
nope.
happens with the men in the car?
So again, it was my first time being high, so I was high. I'm sorry. I'm wiping my
You're fine, girl. You're fine. Wipe
I've
away.
never
This is a first.
this is
I've never had a golden shower on my
I've
show.
never had someone tell me that their penis is so big it doesn't fit. Oh
And I will
man.
tell you that it wasn't very big at all. Actually, he was
Oh
like
my
the
God.
largest man I've ever had sex with, and his penis was the smallest penis I've ever seen in my life. So
Oh
poor
God.
thing.
So so eventually they start telling me things that I couldn't piece together, which, had I gone on Wikipedia and like looked up Hasidic Jews, I probably would have known. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Something about like, his son doesn't speak English and he was concerned. This is the younger cousin.
Yeah.
He was concerned that his son doesn't speak English and like, he's getting bullied at school. And he
Mm-hmm.
literally just starts like telling me really personal stuff. And he was like, oh, his son really loves playing guitar. And then they were telling me all these like things like, like the community doesn't allow my son to go out and do blah 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 and like doesn't teach him math and science. And I'm like, what are these people saying? What do you mean they don't
Yeah,
teach
yeah.
math and science? And like, yeah, they just like study the Bible, they study, sorry, the Torah every day. I'm like, what? And like I'm just like, are you guys trying to be funny? Or like I'm just like saying I'm asking all these really dumb questions. But basically, he was concerned that his son doesn't speak English and like they don't teach English to their kids or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Okay, if anyone on this podcast is Hasidic Jewish, I'm sorry if I say anything wrong. Again, this is 15 years ago. And he was like, his son's getting bullied at school and he doesn't have basic life skills and he's concerned and he can't really like he can't bring his son to just like any community, like any groups outside of the community.
Right.
And he was, again, like their English isn't great, so I'm like trying to piece things together. I'm trying to clarify with them what exactly they're saying. So basically then he took my info, and because at the time I was teaching in the New York City system as like a part-time teacher, sort of like a I mean, sometimes I part-time, sometimes I taught theater after school.
Yeah.
Sometimes I dealt with charter school. I was like a teaching artist,
Yes.
and I was like, no, there's so many resources. If your son likes playing guitar, there's so many, like the government, New York City DOE gives out so many things that help children, have extracurriculars, and I'm sure money's not an issue. Like I can't imagine them, like every single one of these having to charge money for it.
Right.
Um, or like even ESL programs. I'm like, no, there's so many resources for ESL children. Like that's not a problem at all. And he's like, yeah, but he's in eighth grade and like his English is really bad. It's like, the level of a first grader. And
Right.
again,
Right.
I have no idea that they don't teach him English. So I'm just like, what happened to this kid? What the
Yeah.
fuck
Yeah. Yeah.
happened?
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't aware that the community is exclusive and they follow different guidelines. And then they drove me home, I think.
Okay. Free ride. No subway.
I think they drove me home. And I'm just like, is it okay that they know where I live? But they seem so nice. And like one of them's a father. What are you gonna be scared of?
And
He's a
he's
father.
a stoned driver driving you home.
I was like, you can trust a father. He loves his child. I don't
Yeah.
know what I was thinking. I was so naive. I mean, I still really am, but thinking back to that, and then I went to bed and I woke up and everything just felt like a dream. I just
Yeah.
can't believe that actually happened.
No, that is crazy. Well, Do you know what I love the most about this story? I feel
Is that
like,
how stupid I am?
well, I wasn't going to say how stupid you were. I was going to say your doe-eyed innocence, but yes.
I am.
Because I do feel like sometimes as young women, we know it's inherent for women. We're born afraid. Like just like uh we have so many things working against us. So many people are out to harm women on a daily
Hmm.
basis. And but it's also like we want to live a little too, and we want to have a little adventure and make these little stories for ourselves. And the whole time you're telling this story, I'm just kind of picturing you being like, what's behind that door? What's behind
Yeah,
that
I
door? You know what I
a little
mean?
bit, a little bit. Yeah. I
And
mean,
you,
I've been so safe about it the whole time. I remember like earlier that year, this girl in my acting conservatory, she was telling me and this other guy friend in the conservatory about like her not list, but like her contacts of booty calls.
uh-huh.
Um and how she's like I'm not gonna say her name, but she was so sometimes she's like she goes to a bar and like some guy's trying to pick her up and she'll be like, listen, I went to Yale. So it's
Did
like
she go to Yale?
it that she was just like kind of like I'm not gonna fuck a guy who like went to community college or something.
Oh, so she has like
And
higher
and and
standards.
and for me, what was shocking about that story was not the fact about the education system. But I was like, wait, but you don't even know his last name. And then they both laughed. And I'm just like, how the fuck can you sleep with someone if you don't even fucking know their last name?
It's very
And I was
easy.
just so shocked by that. And like they're laughing about another thing. And I'm just like bombarded by the fact that she didn't know his last name. Not even
Yeah.
like, oh, he went to Harvard or he went to Brown.
Yeah. You're like the
Yeah.
last name thing. Well, I won't go through my little black book for you because
Rolodex.
my Rolodex, because honestly, we're gonna be missing some last names. A lot of Anthony M's in my phone,
Oh my
Esther. A
God.
lot of Anthony M's.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would
That
not fuck an Anthony M.
oh
Just
yeah.
me. The
Yeah.
Anthonys that I've met have never been attractive.
I just don't know. I'm saying Anthony, but I don't know if I've ever had sex with someone named
It's a
Anthony. A couple
personal
might. Maybe there was
anecdote.
a Tony in there, so that's Anthony
Okay.
shortened. But
Okay.
I have to check the list. I do have a list of conquests written down for my memory because otherwise, life is long, Esther. Life is long.
I
I
don't
feel like honestly, Esther, I think you're first of all hilarious and very charming and adorable. I feel like I could do a whole like every like 6 months do like another story with Esther where she's just like doe-eyed coming through.
no, I'm really not because personality wise, I'm very like no bullshit. Like, let
Yeah,
me get this shit done. But when it comes to a lot of other stuff, I'm
like
just like, how is this possible? just
yeah.
just like the conundrum of America and how it functions.
There
It's
is
just like amazing.
one thing I wanted to ask you. So I know you're from Taiwan. Have you done
Hmm.
stand up in Taiwan
I have
before?
during the
You have?
pandemic.
Oh, that's
Yes, I
awesome.
have.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Was it
No,
very
it sucked balls.
it sucked, but it's
It
awesome that you
sucked
were able
balls.
to say that you've done it, but it wasn't a good
Well, is it
experience.
though? Is it something
Hell
to flex
yeah.
about?
Hell
I've
yeah.
done I've done comedy in a country that's not a country that nobody even know where it is on the map. Huh.
Well,
Huh.
yeah.
Have you done that?
I haven't
Never
done it.
have I ever.
Never have I ever done stand up in Taiwan. So
Never have I ever. One night stand. Know
uh
anybody's last name.
do you want to go? My next question for you is, do you want to go your entire life without having sex? Would you be cool with that?
No, no,
No.
no, no, no. I'm not gonna be cool with that. I am gonna have to make a difference. I just find it to be so scary. Like, just culturally speaking, the level of like physical trust that you can have with someone usually
Yeah.
takes like a year, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, especially like we don't even shake hands. Like when we meet someone or we say goodbye, we don't even hug. You understand? That's like a
Yeah.
really big, like
Boundary.
like touching someone skin to skin is a big thing. Like even when you brush against someone, like if anyone's like a anime fan or like in those all those comic books, like when a crush and a crush brush against each other like lightly. Like that's like a big moment, in
A
the
sparks
pictures that they
flying
draw. The
moment. Yeah.
cartoon, yeah, sparks are flying, butterflies are like running in the air. Meanwhile, Americans, after they say goodbye, like literally their titties are touching each other like in a square like thing and just
Yeah.
squeezing into each other and letting go, and then not even feeling anything from that, right? Just like a regular hug, is like whatever.
I once so my friends in high school and stuff, everybody was very touchy. Everybody was like very cool with like getting naked in front of each other. In college, it was the same way. Like I went to school for theater, so everybody was like pretty
Mm.
open and used to changing in front of each other. And I was on an improv team once, and I said, like, we were all like getting to know each other, and I said something where I was like, this was a real learning moment for me. It was many years ago, but I was like joking around with some of the girls on my team, and one girl was like, I do break an ass, like instead of break a leg, she was like, I do break an ass, and like squeeze someone else's ass. And I was like, oh, I do break a titty, and I like grabbed her boobs. And one of the girls on my team was like, do not do that to me, nobody touch my body. And I was like, what is that? And I was like, young, learning, oh, that is called a boundary. She is telling us, we don't know you, I don't know you girls, don't fucking touch my body. And that was the first time I was ever like, but you're a girl, girls touch each other, what are you talking about? You don't want me to touch your boobs. It was a real learning
Yeah.
moment. As a
It's interesting though how like asses are so much more accessible than titties.
She didn't want her ass or her tits touched.
Yeah.
But I was the one that said tits, and so she was like, no, no bueno.
But
Which
it's interesting though when someone was saying like grabbing the ass thing, she didn't speak up about it.
Right, right. Maybe she just didn't want my grubby paws touching her tits.
Maybe she just didn't like you. I don't
Yeah, I would believe that too. I would believe that too. Esther, well, in terms of people I do like, you are one of them. That was
Oh, thank you.
thank you so much for sharing that story. And I wish I had hours and hours to chat with you. But in the meantime,
Man. I'm
and it's
just
not,
really looking forward to the strike. Please, can we strike? I'm so tired.
Esther's tired, everybody.
Esther slept 12 hours because she's fucking tired. Can we take a break and strike?
It's
I
coming.
think every union needs to have an annual strike.
I think you're right about that. Everybody needs a rest. It's like a mini pandemic. A strike is like a mini pandemic, except I think you have
Man.
to go to the picket lines. Well, then share your
Oh,
social.
that's right. I have to go to the picket lines.
Sorry, Esther,
Oh,
bad
that's right.
news. You got to hit the picket lines. Share
Damn.
your social media for everybody, Esther, so everyone knows where to find you and follow you.
Yes, the Esther Chen underscore.
The Esther Chen underscore Esther. This was so much fun. I loved your doe eyed delight. Like I said, we're gonna have you back on the show. We're gonna chat more. But thank you, thank you, thank you. And I, for one, am glad you made it out of that Russian bathhouse.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Me too. I'd be so curious to go back again.
You know what? This time, I'll tell you right now, and I swear this is my hand to God. If you really want to go back again, let's get a fucking Groupon and do it. I will go with
Let's
you.
do it. Is Groupon even around? I'm not even
I
sure.
haven't used it in a while, but we could pay real price and go. I would do it with
Yeah,
you
no,
though.
we can.
Um,
We still might get COVID though, because that shit's still running around. So
Mask up, baby. Esther, this was such a pleasure. Thank you so much for doing the podcast, and you and I will talk soon. All right.
yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.